Have you been scrolling through your feed lately and just noticed it's absolutely packed with videos about credit score hacks, crazy side hustles, and breakdowns of big businesses? Yeah, you're not alone. So today, let's dive in and really decode the rise of this super specific, high-energy financial content that seems to be taking over social media.
Here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll nail down what this content even is. Then we'll get into its three main flavors: the quick money hacks for right now, those super popular side hustle challenges, and then the bigger picture stuff, like building a long-term empire. And to finish, we'll look at why this is all blowing up right at this moment.
Okay, let's kick things off with our first section, scrolling for dollars. I mean, what is this stuff really? And who's it for?
It's a question a lot of us have been asking, right? And listen, it is not your imagination. There has been a massive explosion of this type of content, and there's a really clear reason it's connecting with millions of people. It's tapping into a very real, very modern need.
So this genre, it's often called high RPM finance and business. Now, the RPM part is interesting. It stands for revenue per mil, which is just a fancy term for how much money creators can make. And turns out, the finance niche is a gold mine. The content itself is super fast, it's designed for our short attention spans, and get this, it's often faceless, just text on a screen with a voiceover. This kind of makes the advice feel more universal, you know? And it's all aimed directly at Gen Z and Millennials, who are out there looking for a totally new financial playbook.
So that brings us perfectly to the first major category of this content: everyday money hacks. This is all about solving the financial problems you're facing like today.
You know, the reason this stuff is so powerful is because it's so relevant. We're not talking about some abstract retirement plan for 40 years from now. No, this content gets right in there and confronts the financial anxiety a lot of us are feeling. From crazy high rent to student loans, it's about surviving and getting a little bit ahead, right now.
And the topics you see completely reflect that urgency. You know, things like how in the world do you actually budget in a city where rent is just astronomical? What are the literal step-by-step tricks you can use to boost your credit score? And how can you start investing without feeling totally overwhelmed? They're not just ideas, they're presented as actual plans you can follow.
And a huge part of the appeal is showing real, tangible results. Creators love using this before and after format, like showing a credit score jump, because it proves their steps actually work. It's so simple, but wow, it's an incredibly powerful and motivating visual.
Okay, so moving on from everyday advice, we get to the next level, the 30-day hustle challenge. This is where things get really interesting, because creators don't just talk about it, they actually go out and do it, turning these social media experiments into these binge-worthy video series.
I mean, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? We've all heard about these side hustles, delivering for DoorDash, selling stuff on Amazon FBA, but does it actually work? Can you generate real income doing this stuff? Well, these videos promise to find out for us.
And this is exactly why these series are so addictive. It feels like we're watching a public experiment unfold in real time. The creator is the guinea pig, and they show you the entire journey. The wins, the frustrations, the whole shebang, all the way to the final numbers. That builds a massive amount of trust and keeps viewers totally hooked.
So, a typical challenge has a story arc, kind of like this one for Amazon FBA. It kicks off with the initial idea, moves through all the logistical headaches, you get to celebrate the little wins like the first sale, and then it wraps up with a totally transparent verdict. Was it a profit or was it a loss? It's like watching a mini documentary that's both educational and really entertaining.
All right, that brings us to our third and final pillar, building your empire. This is where the content shifts gears from earning some quick cash to the much bigger, more aspirational goals of long-term wealth and business strategy.
And the content here, it generally splits into two main paths. The first is all about creating passive income streams. Think stuff like dividend investing. And the second is about learning vicariously through these fascinating deep dive case studies of major companies.
So to make a really complex topic like dividend investing feel less scary, a creator might show you a sample portfolio that looks something like this. By breaking it down into simple visual chunks, they make that goal of earning passive income feel so much more achievable. Now, beyond just personal investing, there's this huge appetite for understanding how business itself actually works. And that's where the case studies come in. The idea isn't just to figure out how to make money, but to learn the fundamental principles of what makes a business succeed or fail.
A great example is a creator might break down a famous flameout like WeWork. They'll point to specific mistakes, like its insane overvaluation. And then they'll contrast that with the principles of what a successful, lean business model looks like. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur, these are absolutely priceless lessons in what to do and maybe more importantly, what not to do.
So, after looking at all these different types of content, from the quick hacks to the big picture empire building, what's the final takeaway? Why does any of this matter?
I think this quote just absolutely nails it. This content isn't popular by accident. It is perfectly tailored for a generation that lives online, is incredibly ambitious, but feels like the old school rules of money just don't apply anymore.
So its success really boils down to this pretty simple recipe. It hits on real financial anxiety with steps you can actually take. It builds trust by telling these relatable, I tried it so you don't have to stories. And most importantly, it speaks the native language of social media. It's fast, it's visual, and it's direct. And all of that leaves us with one final, and I think fascinating, question to think about. As traditional financial education kind of struggles to keep up, is this bite-sized, democratic, and massively popular content becoming the new face of financial literacy for an entire generation? Definitely something to chew out.